Hey Eric, how are you doing? How's it going?
Good, good.
We didn't record in a while, right? So, like almost couple of, I think like at least a month or something like that.
It feels like it's been forever, but
Yeah,
time's just completely slowed down right now. So
yeah. There is so many things actually changed during that time. Like I got some interesting project released. I don't know, have you seen it or not on the GitHub?
which one? You got quite a few.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I have got quite a few, but one of them that I think everyone anticipated is a tool to import quickly products into Magento database.
I did see that one. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great, man.
so this is unfortunately not what I wanted to release originally because in the end I released the synchronous tool because it took too much time to build an asynchronous one. So I decided better to give people something right now before like I finish the synchronous tool. And
What's the name of the project for people watching?
it's we actually gonna put it in show notes. It's called Sync Magento Migration. So it basically what this tool does, you can install it on Magento 1 store and you can export data from it. You can also install it in Magento 2 store and export data from it.
Oh, cool.
So it's kind of smart solutions that actually works with both databases. So
Nice.
it doesn't care is it Magento 1 or Magento 2. Database structure is almost similar. Like there is some differences, but in general, like in any community edition, or even I think it was working with Magento 1 Enterprise. So you can get a dump of the data from Magento 1 Enterprise and get it imported into Magento 2 Commerce, but it doesn't support catalog staging. Because the customer for which I built it, the first thing that we did for their Magento 2 Commerce, we disabled all the staging modules. so it works with the standard community structure of the database. And it exports all the data in CSV files. And when you export the data into CSV files, you actually can apply mappings and transform the data while you export it.
That's cool.
So you can decide, hey, I don't want to use those attributes anymore that I was using in Magento 1, but I want to start fresh. I want to, like have much more cleaner data. I want maybe reorganize the structure of the pricing. For instance, for that customer that I built it originally, they had a very interesting thing. Like they had this global price for the product, and then they had currency conversion per each store view. And with Magento 2, they decided to go, hey, we actually want to manage our prices on our own in different sales channels because our company has been acquired and we are now actually having two warehouses, one in the United States and one in Europe. And then, we need to have something around the pricing to work differently. So in the end, we created for them a very simple converter, and it was taking the price of the product and was creating a new feed of the data into Magento 2 that was actually creating records for the websites with adjusted prices.
There's still almost 100,000 Magento 1 stores out there. I think Sansex Magento said something like 80, 100.
Like this tool a lot because like it gives you a possibility within 10 minutes to export data from Magento 1 store and import it into vanilla Magento 2. So like you don't need to do anything. Like you can just export the data, import the data back, and you can test, hey, how my store will look like under default Magento 2. Like you don't need to set up a lot of things. Like you don't need to install even any modules in Magento 2 to make it work. So this is completely standalone tools that you can just grab specified database credentials. It will take database credentials from one Magento and import it into another. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Hopefully it'll help a lot of people make the leap over to M2.
Yeah, there is a lot of struggles in Magento 2 itself, but in general, like I like the product, but I don't see like that huge issue itself. Like, oh wait, do I actually share the screen with Zoom? Okay, so I'm still sharing a screen with Zoom.
Yeah. I see the website we're going to work on today.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Yeah. That's a little bit pity that I did it this way, but I wanted actually to share the different screen, but now I see. But
that's why I was like, hey, tell the viewers the name.
Yeah, but I think we anyway have different recordings, so viewers won't see what the website.
98,000 is my last count of M1 stores still out there, according to MagePack from Sansac. And 38,000, almost 39,000 M2 stores. So quite a lot of M1 stores that are having to figure out what they're going to do next. So hopefully this encourages more people to go to M2, make it easier. I think the more tools and easier it is.
But I see like a lot of companies actually getting into the merchants from different platforms. Like you saw those tweets from William de Groot when he pointed out that Commerce Cloud, right? From Salesforce. From Salesforce, they were saying very fishy, like weird marketing emails telling, hey, you seen what was happening with Magento? How about we plan a transition plan to Commerce Cloud?
Yeah, that's ridiculous, man. That was Downloader. Like Downloader is with the key in that exploit. It's always been like that's nothing new. Like you should have had that Downloader disabled from the beginning. Like
yeah, and in general, like Downloader has no value since Magento 1 went out of life because there's no more endpoints from which you can actually download stuff.
Yeah, without Magento Connect, it's useless. We went through and because we have a partnership with Willem over there, so he alerted us early, and we went through and blocked globally Downloader for all of our M1 customers. So.
Yeah, I even don't know like why people like if you have a Magento project being ever developed by an agency. Usually you don't have downloader because like it was a good practice always to remove the download directory from repository even because like you don't need it at all. The downloader is used only for people who actually was installing extensions, like and was actually doing Magento stores themselves. So I can understand like why this is a problem, but generally like this is a problem of the people who were using Magento behind the old date and even didn't consult anyone, like in order to start thinking, hey, how can I secure my Magento instance? Because usually people who install it themselves, they even don't install it on Magento hostings, Magento rented hostings. They probably just use some shared hosting or something, like that's completely unconfigured for Magento to be installed over there.
Willem posted some data to show that one of the other really well-known and popular hosting providers had, I think, 100 or some compromised stores, even though they're selling a M1 security product and charging people extra for it. So I host with us. That's all I can say.
Yeah, you guys definitely have much better response, and you have 24/7 support for it, so
yeah,
it should be quite clear. So what do we have?
Should we do the intro?
So yeah, let's do the intro, right?
Yeah, let's do it. Loading the Loop is sponsored by Blackfire.io. I'm Eric Hileman, CEO and co-founder of Magento Hosting out of New York City. And the purpose of this program is to take some of what we've learned from over 10 years of Magento-specific hosting and share that with you when we evaluate one of our customer stores. We hope that it will improve your Magento skills and the performance of your Magento stores. It's been a while since we recorded an intro. Along with me on this trip is my co-host, Ivan.
Hello, my name is Ivan. I am a Magento performance consultant out of the Netherlands. I work with Magento since 2007, and I'm kind of lucky to have a nice co-host like Eric here, and we're really gonna rock this store today and see what kind of performance bottlenecks it has. So, Eric, tell us a little bit more about the customer.
First thing, coffee. Everybody loves coffee.
Oh, I'm actually having coffee right now.
I quit drinking coffee. I had to. The caffeine it's just too much. But I drink a little bit of tea. But man, I still love coffee. I wish I could drink it, but yeah, I had to back off of it. But they sell some really cool like higher end machines. So if you're really into it, like they've got some cool stuff. They just
I have. I'm kind of lazy coffee drinker. Like I really like my Nespresso machine at home, so I just put the capsule in and do
with the
stuff.
pot, yeah.
But also we have this not a filtered coffee machine, but more kind of just a device from the glass where you can put coffee filters. And if you want to make a cold brew, we sometimes do that as well. So this is kind of interesting process because you have to put some ice cubes and over the long period of time it's just gonna drip through the coffee.
Never drank cold brew cold coffee at all. It just seems like the weirdest thing to me. Like it'd be 100 degrees outside, and if I was drinking coffee, I was drinking hot coffee. Like people love cold coffee, but that just seems so wrong to me. I don't. Did you like it? Did you drink it a lot?
I did drink it, especially in warm time. It's kind of nice experience because the taste is different. So you can, I think, appreciate more the flavors inside of the coffee comparing to when it's just, like was washed over with the hot water, like.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's true.
So there is an interesting experience. Like if you never tried it, you should at least once try.
I've tried it. It's just not my thing.
I see. Okay, so let's profile their homepage, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do a profiler. Let's disable aggregation.
They just launched this M2 site, so it's pretty new. Probably some things to tweak.
Looks interesting. I really like this photo, like in a coffee lover like me, like it
I can smell it. I can smell that photo and taste it.
Okay, so they have 65 database queries. It's kind of good result in my opinion. Like this is quite good. So nothing extraordinary here. So there is nothing except I think like those processes kind of take quite a lot of time, but in general, like all this stuff is within reasonable amounts, and probably there is some overhead of the profiler itself here. Okay, but they have some kind of caching, right? So they have for the list of the brands. Oh, so it's a widget and it has a standard block HTML cache, but this one I see here that the brand repository getting loaded quite well. Like they don't have load by single brand, like it's done all at once. So I really like that it's kind of clean. Let's see at the database queries just to
they did that custom
to see if there is something custom. So I see here some standard Magento stuff, like those selects from CMS blocks. This is actually something that I want to build in optimization as a module that's going to be open source for Magento. In general, like when you're on a page, you have a lot of small callouts as CMS blocks, and each of these blocks is actually introduces database query to find its ID and then to load its content and check if it's available in the store view. So I want to combine it all, into one single database query instead of, like we know that on the page there's, let's say, 13 different blocks, right? And if each of these 13 blocks is loaded separately, it's kind of a hit to the database. So it's possible to do it without, like doing it by doing some observers, checking the layout structure, and checking the page HTML content for possible CMS block inside. And then just preloading it in advance by using a collection instead of, doing it one by one. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with their implementation. So this one I kind of like. So let's go into espresso machines. Let's see.
Is that the first brand's extension that you've liked? Because we usually see what Amnesty Shop by, which is we're always complaining about. I just saw a Headworks brands crushing someone's varnish, doing like 15, 20 purge requests a second from a cron, which was really weird.
I honestly don't see brands here. Oh yeah, here it is. So here you see in the bottom of the page, there are some brands URLs. I think this is the blog that gets loaded, right?
Yeah.
So this one is just a simple collection, and it's as what I saw actually over there. Oh, I already profiled something, right? Or it was the previous one? No, it was a homepage. So here, as you can see, coffee brand. So there is definitely a custom module built by developers.
Yeah, they wrote that.
So this is what happens when you build actually a custom functionality for your specific customer. Like you don't implement the blows and whistles that exist in extensions.
Good job, Laura Folco.
Yeah.
Good job, Laura.
This is, I think, a prime example of how you need to build a brand extension. Like you need to create a separate functionalities for, like different views. Like if you list brands, you have to create a single, like collections that will return you this list of the brands. If you have a single brand page, yes, and you can access a brand by ID or something like that, but never use, like both in the same place. Better to have separate models for separate amount of data. Let's put it this way. So let's go to espresso machines, and this is category with some layered navigation. I want to see the 20,000 and above. Okay.
Wow. I have no idea what makes the difference between a $23,000 espresso machine or a $2,000 espresso machine or even a $200 espresso machine. Is it the milk frothing? Is that the trick? Like the steam?
You see they have here a fridge for the milk.
I mean, that thing looks like it'll do your taxes too. Like it looks...
Yeah,
like a lot more than a machine, just a machine. So they got the fridge and then some sort of digital control there where you can.
I don't know what it does, but
commercial level maybe it's really quick and you can just use it all day and it won't be broken in a year. Yeah, offices, hotels, convenience stores.
But the price is mind-boggling, like I could, assemble at least 20 nice PCs, for this money.
Yeah.
Or I can buy 20 RTX 3080s.
If you could, you buy one on eBay.
Okay. This kind of espresso machines I really like, very rough looking.
Yeah, it's like steampunk, like industrial. They do look cool.
Yeah. A friend of mine here has a similar machine, and for him it's like a ritual, like when he prepares a coffee.
Yeah,
he greens beans himself, and then he puts it inside of the holder and then prepares the coffee. So kind of okay. We went too far away from the topic. Let's profile a category page, right? Let's see how it goes. And comparing to other category pages, I can tell you that the time when the bar went green was quite fast. Let's see what kind of data it collects over there. Okay, so this is very nice number of database queries. So 105. And it means like there was put quite a lot of work in optimization, because even standard Magento doesn't do that well. I don't know if they use MSI or not, but with MSI, those number of database queries is usually kind of high. Okay, so what do I see here? I see here some kind of view configuration cache. This one takes some time. And in general, I think there is some price retrieval. Yeah, so some price loading. Yeah, let's see actually at the database queries what actually takes the most amount of database queries. Product price. So this is something that the standard Magento core issue together with categories. So there is nothing custom. This is like depends on like, do they really want to optimize it? Like, does it worth the time? You know, like if they would really went into optimizing, you know, like every single IO call, like then their price rendering would drop a lot in time itself. But generally speaking, you need to think about, you know, like investing your time into fixing Magento core bugs to get better performance or not, right? And in this case, probably it doesn't make sense for them to do it because they already have quite nice implementation. I don't see anything bad here. The only thing that I would do in their place, like not use a standard FPC, but use Varnish FPC and move footer as ESI include and move header as ESI include. So then you have separate footer and header being cacheable by Magento. So they save some time on rendering those blocks. But in general, yeah, we see that mostly there is some brands being loaded, and then there is some CMS blocks as well. So let's see when we add something to the shopping cart. Can we add something to the shopping cart? Yes, we can. Okay, great. This was interesting. Okay, let me quickly turn on profile all requests feature, because I think there is some Ajax calls happening. Okay, let's check it out. Brett. This one I don't understand what it does. Let's see. Again, what kind of profiles do they have? So yeah, this is a product page, and this is some kind of an Ajax request for bread checkout config data. Probably this is this small block here, right? I don't know if it's bread or not.
Yeah, the financing probably.
Yeah, bread embedded. So this module is giving, you know, like some kind of an issues from in my point of view, because, you know, like every single product page triggers an Ajax call to uncached page, because as far as I see, like they retrieve some kind of a config data, but this is actually not cacheable.
Are they? So they generate that financing cost like in the store. They're not calling out to get it.
Yes. And what I see here, they probably cache this data, but in the end, they still trigger all of Magento Bootstrap. So right now, I see there is single radius get call or something, like, so they are loading some kind of value from a cache. But yeah, we don't see what is the actual call of doing this call to the database. I think there is some kind of an API call, so at least they like cache some kind of an amount. Let's do it on a different product. Let's see if it's per product cache or it's global cache, right? So let's turn on this profile requests. And let's go into some nice machine, Jura and 8. Okay. Here we have some time to take to load it, so I think it's kind of interesting. Okay. Let's see. So at least this one, we see that this is actually the same. So then I don't get like why not to include this data in the page itself, like if it's the same itself. Maybe they like doing call to third party itself, like when you refresh a page and it does some call, like to this bread server or something like that. Yeah. So this is in general like is a problem for scalability, because when you already have this page, like you can render this configuration required to load this widget, from third party. Like you don't need to do another call to Magento backend to do it. So whatever this extension does, it needs just to inline this stuff here. Like, why do you need to do it for a Ajax call? It seems quite redundant in my opinion. So let's see what else do we have here. Like I remember there was some other pending profiles, right? So okay, here is just a product page. Let's see what's happening on the product page. Actually 110 queries. That's quite a lot for a product page. But let's see what actually those queries are. Okay, so this is probably the Magento thing when Magento tries to load for every single product that it shows on the page. It tries to access category IDs. And then there is a bunch of CMS blocks, but this is standard one. And there is a lot of unique queries. Oh yeah, seems like there are some configurable products in place. However, I don't see here any config. Maybe from these ones, maybe from recommended accessories, there is some configurable products that trigger some additional database operations. But nothing too bad. So let's see if we're gonna profile other stuff here. And let's add to cart. Let's see how it goes with the shopping cart. Okay. So one of the first suggestions, like, why do you need to redirect customer directly to the shopping cart, right? Because if you redirect customer directly to the shopping cart, there is a lot of performance hit under high load, because in that case, the shopping cart might result in some very weird overload of your production server. So let's see what kind of requests we have here. Right, so when we add product to the shopping cart, product gets loaded, then the customer section load gets triggered in order to receive the data from a server about which product has been added to the cart to show in a mini cart block. So you already have this information about, hey, what was added to the shopping cart. And what usually people do in order to, like have the same kind of an effect of showing a shopping cart after adding to cart, just showing this pop-up after adding to cart, and that's more than enough. Especially like basically this mini cart is already a copy of the shopping cart page. And when you redirect customer directly to the shopping cart page, you just may make customer actually frustrated, because under high load, loading shopping cart page may be quite a problem.
I wonder if that's an intentional choice.
I think it's a Magento configuration option, and I'm not sure what kind of a default option. Maybe the default option is actually to redirect customer to the shopping cart, but I usually advise
if their customers usually purchase one item, they probably like, okay, since most of our customers purchase one item, let's try to get them through the checkout after they add it. Let's just keep that momentum going, maybe.
Yeah, maybe I'm a little bit too much in the mind, like, hey, let's minimize number of server resources in order to be more efficient. And from point of view, like we already...
Are they upselling grinders or things, though? I would think they would, like, you order a machine, they would want to be like, hey, get this grinder. Hey, add some coffee to go with that. Like,
and the thing is, like, as soon as I'm in shopping cart, I cannot add these things to the cart, right? Because I see it on the product page, but I don't see it on the shopping cart.
Like the mugs, upsell some mugs. The machine probably has a grinder in it, but you could sell some mugs and stuff.
Yeah, so you already kind of, when you go to the shopping cart, you don't see any upsell here. At least right now, I don't see any. So
yeah, let's take a look at it. Maybe it was intentional. Maybe they didn't think about it.
Okay, so here we are. Let's refresh the page to see how it goes here. So we have here the API call and a bunch of other stuff. So there is no need to go to the shopping cart after you add the cart. So there is at least I think 1, 2, and 3 redundant dynamic calls to the servers that can hurt you a lot when let's say you are in Black Friday situation, like when you have a lot of shoppers trying to buy something. And this is actually might be a good option by default, but when you, let's say, go into sales season, it's better to disable redirect to cart, because every single resource helps you to serve more customers.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So let's profile checkout page as well. Let's hit this record button and record all the requests, and let's go into the checkout page. So checkout page seems kind of slow. We'll try it without profiler as well to see if it's profiler or just the number of requests.
I like the little coffee animation there with the steam coming off of it.
Yeah, maybe people who are shopping for espresso machines are not that eager to see the page, so they can enjoy some nice animation. But like if they would sell coffee, I would be annoyed if I had to wait 1 minute.
You're gonna be hot. You think the buyers are all caffeinated, like load, click, click.
Okay, so what's good here? I see like they have only one call to the API. So they load the initial page, and then they have only one call to the API to retrieve. Yeah, I don't see what kind of API call it is. To estimate shipping methods. Oh yeah, and because I'm in the Netherlands, like yeah, it doesn't detect my state. Let's put it this way. Please specify zip code. Any zip code in New York?
10128.
101. Oh yeah, 10128. Okay. Let's see. Oh shoot. I should have run it with profile requests. Okay, let's do it again. Let's refresh the page. This thing is, I think, too slow. I think there is some issues with standard Magento checkout, and I think I already know the suggestions for them. But let's just see if it's this problem or not. Okay, so it remembered a bunch of stuff. So okay, good. Let's choose a free shipping. Okay, com name ICE, something like that, and New York, of course, and 555, or how what kind of phone numbers?
555. It's 334.
But it should be something like that or something like that. I don't know. Some
It's
random number.
Sometimes they don't even try to validate it. It can be tough.
Okay, review and payments. So here I see kind of a lot of AJAX calls, but yeah. Okay, great. And here I think I'm gonna stop as a profile because I'm not gonna place an order. Okay. There is kind of standard ones, so I don't see anything out of ordinary. I think this one is estimate shipping methods, and this one is shipping information. So this one returns you back payment information. Yeah, so this is kind of good. But what I think is a problem when you load a page and why it takes so long. So right now we are running it without profiling now, right? And you see it kind of slow, right?
Yeah.
And mostly it's slow because you see all those HTML files
Yeah.
slowly getting loaded. Each of these HTML files, each of them. So all of this stuff is kind of being a problem for Magento because it's not bundled together. And each of these files is not even using HTTP2 because each of them is loaded through HTTP request. XHR through AJAX. So each HTML template in Magento is loaded through AJAX. So because Magento is using some kind of special require.js loader for all of this data. I don't know if this customer already made it live or not. But Happy Socks, I was implementing for them this special implementation of MagePack, and I want to check if it's already live. So when I go to the checkout, you see it's a little bit faster. Mm-hmm. You know, like they already show everything over here, but if you go into the network section, I don't know if it's there or not, but I expect it should be like that because I saw they probably already released it. Yeah. So you see like there is almost no HTML files being loaded through Ajax. So their page is loaded much more faster. And this is thanks to MagePack and especially pull request I did for MagePack in order to make it possible to also merge together some HTML files as a modules. So what happens behind the scenes, I think we can see merged. Oh yeah.
And that's the default checkout with your MagePack tweaks.
Yeah.
Is this why other people install like one-step checkout, custom checkout extensions?
This is not something like this is something that they build themselves. Like they build themselves this custom one-page implementation, whatever they have. I only did optimization of the loading of those components. So they have a bunch of other operations, like they have a lot of API calls to retrieve all of this data from Adyen and so on. But in general, what I like about MagePack is that it's kind of easy to implement this kind of a thing. And now my changes is actually merged into MagePack mainline. So what I recommend for them, just add MagePack to the deployment of the project. And since like it's standard Magento 2 checkout, it should work without any issues. Like they need just to generate a MagePack config JS that gets generated.
In the checkout, dude, that's really interesting. I did a Twitter survey for JS optimization, and it was like MagePack or what's Bundler? Not Bundler. What's the other one?
Baylor.
And everybody was like MagePack, but I've never heard anybody say use MagePack in the checkout. So that's pretty unique, pretty cool.
Yeah, but it's in general like the thing is with Happy Socks, for instance, they use custom frontends that they wrote themselves for Magento, but they still use original Magento checkout. And original Magento checkout was loading for them very slow. And mostly it was because of all of those static files that were loaded through the Ajax calls by the standard Magento bundler. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we needed to fix it for them. So
use MagePack if you're using the default.
Yeah, so I tried first MagePack, but with Happy Socks it was impossible to use the standard MagePack because of the strategy of their static content deployment. So they have, I think, like 30 different languages. And it means, like, if you use the default quick strategy from Magento in order to deploy stuff, like you copy for every single language, you copy the whole set of static assets. And your directory becomes kind of huge, and it takes a lot of time to do deployments. So they use this compact deploy strategy, and MagePack was incompatible with compact deploy strategy. So I modified MagePack in order to make it possible to use as a compact deploy strategy by reading JSON files that are being deployed by Magento. And yeah.
It seems like MagePack is almost becoming a standard thing that like everybody should just be like, oh, you're running M2, you should be using MagePack. Like it's not just for this, but for like Google PageSpeed scores. I've seen really good scores from that with MagePack as well.
Yeah, MagePack helps a lot. Like how it works is actually very interesting. Given that I was doing a pull request, I actually dive deep into the way how it actually works and how it's implemented. So it's kind of simple. It doesn't have much of configuration options. Like you cannot configure custom, way to add product to cart. Like it mostly relies on the default Magento because it needs actually to go through the whole process to visit the checkout page. It needs to have a product in the shopping cart in order to get all the static assets that you need to bundle together, right? So either in local environment you have to create some kind of product that is easy to add to cart, or you have to modify MagePack yourself, or you have to wait till they add configurable add to cart scripts. So maybe you can write something in JavaScript to add something to cart. But in general, what it does, it visits every single page, like it visits homepage, it visits category page, it visits product page, it adds to cart, it visits shopping cart page, it visits checkout page, and then it looks all the common JavaScript files in all of those pages, all the modules from require.js that has been loaded, it combines them into the common bundle, and then it creates separate bundles per each of the page types. So for category, for product, for checkout, shopping cart. So
Cool.
this is a kind of nice thing, and then like they have also this module that you need to install into Magento itself as well, and this module in the header of the page, it adds a prefetch statement. So it tells browser, hey, you parse the DOM at the same time while you're parsing it, because you just received information, hey, can you prefetch this file? And browser already will download all the static bundles. So before you actually hit a script tag when the bundles gets required, the bundles are already there. So browser will just access it like it's already in a local file system.
Speaking of checkout, I've seen a lot of Bolt, people talking about using Bolt checkout, and now there's a new fast.com that's writing a new checkout to replace. It seems like there's a lot of attention and focus on companies building a company just around replacing the checkout in stores. Have you seen that or heard about that? Like, what are the advantages that these companies are providing?
I don't think like it makes sense to add another point of failure into your stack,
that seems bad.
Given that all those companies are startups, there is a high possibility that there can be some security incidents, with those companies. For instance, recently, maybe you heard it in the news that some of the Shopify employees actually stole customer data.
Yeah, employees and extensions leaking it everywhere.
So the thing is, SaaS sounds kind of awesome as a concept, but the problem is you are not in control of the data of your customers. In that case, like someone else has this information. Like, we already provide kind of this information to payment providers, right? When we pay with it, but payment providers have to, be compliant with a lot of regulations. Like you cannot just start a PSP, and collect the data. But those checkout applications, they connect to existing PSP, so they don't need to, go through all of this struggle. And yeah, it's nice to have something simplified, but I don't think they are better than going to the really nice and good one-step checkout.
I don't understand it. Maybe someone from an agency could explain it better. But Bolt just raised like 50. What did they just raise? 50 million for a total of like 140 million. And then Fast.com's coming out, and they just raised like 22.5 million to do this kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't understand it.
Yeah,
but
I think it's a very high
solving?
risk. I think maybe in the United States it's kind of popular, but here in Europe I don't think they will get a lot of traction because of all of the regulations and the data.
That's what they're saying. So like Bolt says its platform uses next generation fraud algorithms to approve more orders and convert fraudulent chargebacks. Did you see NS8? NS8 was doing fraud prevention, and they just laid off everybody, and they're under SEC investigation for fraud. So the anti-fraud company is now under investigation for fraud.
Is it that company that sent a newsletter in Magento? Association. Is it that company?
Yes, that's them. Yep.
Okay. now everything checks out,
that's the one you were complaining about, wasn't it? You tweeted about. They just laid off like pretty much everybody, and CEO left, and they're under SEC fraud investigation.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an important thing to know, like what kind of company you accept as a sponsor for your association, because this is kind of a huge issue, I think.
They in full disclosure, they sponsored Meet Magento New York, and we even did an event, a pre-imagine event at their headquarters. So, I mean, but that's the association's another topic, I think, for I think we could do a full episode on the association. What I want is, I'm waiting for them to release their financials, because I think when people see how much money they've spent on Smith Buckland services and what they've delivered, there's going to be a lot of really upset people.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that then. should be quite kind of interesting to see what's going to happen. So let's sum up a little bit what we have on this customer website. So as far as I see, like, they have a very nice implementation. Big shout out to Laura Folco for having this kind of an amazing implementation of Magento 2 project. This is above and beyond what we usually see in our show. So huge kudos to her. And let's. So in general, the only point I want to, give to them for improvement is actually switch to Varnish cache instead of FPC, because it would allow, better server usage. They anyway using, Ajax calls to hold punch dynamic data, so there is not big difference from point of view of functionality between these two caches. But Varnish allows you to also use ESI includes for cacheable small pieces of the page in Varnish itself. So this is kind of a huge deal. And another one, MagePack. MagePack is gonna save a lot of time on this checkout page. So,
that's probably their biggest pain point in terms of performance, was the checkout.
Yeah, and in generally, we just profiled the checkout page, and we saw like the dynamic part, PHP part, the part that is rendered by Magento itself doesn't matter much. The biggest problem is actually this number of small files that gets loaded through Ajax. Like those HTML templates that all combine into big Magento checkout from the small UI components that it's built upon. So having MagePack actually saves a lot of time over there. And
yeah, that's cool. I had not seen anybody mention MagePack for the checkout, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just take it for granted, like they have bundling enabled. Of course, it's going to be faster, but I think it's in unique standing from MagePack itself, comparing to other tools. Like advanced bundling doesn't allow this. Like it doesn't merge together these HTML templates. Also, I don't know about Baylor, but I think it doesn't, because I think one of the reasons why MagePack was done in order to bundle everything, like it, and do it very easily. So huge shout out to Creative Style for building such an amazing tool that everyone now can use. Yeah,
very cool.
So, and actually, I have another interesting launch recently. I had a lunch with a customer of the new tool. It's proprietary. It's private tool. Okay. And this tool was very interesting. And customer just recently wrote me a message like, "Hey, Ivan, like, like the tools that you've built for us, we didn't receive any out of stock orders so far with the new MSI deductors that you built for us.
Oh, you were complaining about that. Who was that? The Nespresso store double charged you and sent you 2 things.
Yeah, this is other thing, but I mean, like,
okay.
you know, like when you sell something, and in MSI, there is a high probability of overselling. So let's say you have 10 items in stock, and, you know, like 10 different customers go and buy a product, but some of them like buy 2 or 3, and MSI can allow you to have all of them actually with successful checkouts. And then you have to deal with, hey, whom of these customers I have to refund back, who I have to contact and tell, hey, sorry, we cannot deliver you, we don't have this product anymore, and so on. Like, it adds a lot of pressure on the customer service. And this customer wanted to have absolutely accurate checkout, and I found a couple of bugs even in MSI related to the checkout distribution. So I built for them an application in Rust, and this application in Rust is completely responsible for every single deduction of the stock. Either it's API import, or either it's either it's source items import, or either it's just processing an order, or canceling an order, or reserving an information in order itself. And what's cool about this feature is that this application is actually at real time can tell you, hey, this product is already sold out. So you don't need to do any database query, and number of database queries, of course, is getting reduced a lot because this service is talking with the database, not Magento. So this is some of the recent projects, and something interesting, like I'm building right now for the service, I'm building a load test, and the tool I've built for load tests in order to load the source items into the database, like able to import 17,000 source items into MSI per second. So
nice.
So like 3 million of source items were imported, like something like in 1 minute or something like that. And it was
that's proprietary.
Yeah.
Okay. So don't expect to see that on your GitHub page anytime soon.
Not soon. Maybe like in a few years, but I don't know. We'll see. But in general, it's kind of was very nice exercise for me because like it showed me that Rust is very reliable software.
You're a big fan. You talk about Rust a lot, yeah.
Yeah, like the software that you can write with Rust is very reliable, and it prevents a lot of issues from happening on the compile step. So like you don't have this kind of segmentation faults happening when you work, for instance, with C or C++. Like you have to, as a developer, control this part of your application yourself. And with Rust, it's much more easier because thread safety is built into the compiler, and it will tell you if you're doing something that is not allowed. So you have to dance around in order to build secure code with the Rust compiler all the time complaining if you do something wrong. So that's kind of was cool. And in general, like it almost doesn't take any CPU on their production system. So like it runs in the background, and it's completely event-based, so it only starts doing some CPU cycles only when it receives actually an event on own socket. When it receives a connection from Magento, hey, can you please deduct something or do something? So it's kind of a really nice microservice, and I'm really proud of this customer actually having this one working. Because
what was the other issue with the Nespresso double order?
Oh, this one is a long story. I don't know what kind of store Nespresso is using for their.
That's one of the Magento. I thought that was one of their marquee customers that they always promote.
I don't see it as a Magento. Like I try to analyze the Ajax calls and so on, but like it's something different. And honestly, like
I searched Nespresso and Magento, and that comes up. I'm pretty sure I've seen them promote Nespresso as a Magento, but maybe they left. I don't know.
I never seen that specific store. I don't know about other stores, but in the Netherlands, it's definitely not Magento. So, and the problem is like when you place an order, and they double charge me, and then they create 2 orders, and when I contact them, they cannot cancel one of them. Like they have to deliver both of them to my home. And then they say, hey, you can tell to delivery guy, hey, can you just send one package back?
It wasn't just you. It's happening to other people. It wasn't even just you, because other people came on Twitter and were like, no, that happened to me too. Look, MageWorks blog, top 15 Magento stores in 2020 from April, Nespresso.
I don't think it's Magento store.
I don't know.
It has kind of weird system, because I have, like this terrible experience with their customer support. Like I was trying to solve something, like, and then the delivery guy comes over and tells me, hey, I cannot just take back one item. Like you have to either accept
really
both or refuse both. So I just said,
really frustrating.
Just take back both of them. And
Nespresso one, they'll just be like, hey, this is great. Our sales are up. We're doing fantastic.
The thing is, it's not the first instance of my problems with Nespresso, because I drink coffee a lot.
It'll never get fixed. Their sales are up, and
when I order
aren't.
it, one of the things was like I discovered like they have some specific promotions that they enabled website wise, and they said like if you order something like a multiple of 40, you receive some kind of special thing to your order. But I just wanted to order, I think, something like 500 capsules. I was ordering them, and it was telling me I cannot proceed. I have to add more.
500 is not enough.
Like there was some kind of promotion campaigns that like it had to be specific amount dividable by something, like, and then they would like add something to the cart. But I didn't care about the promotion. I just wanted to buy coffee as I usually do. And in the end, like they kind of forced me to buy more coffee. And I decided to go the other way around. I just reduced the amount of my order by the multiple.
You have to reduce it. Yeah. But so then they sold you less. Maybe it's the way it's packaged. Maybe it's packaged in groups of 40. I don't know. So they save somewhere.
They already have the stupid rule, like you have to order in batches of 50. So like you have to already order like 50 capsules at least, because like they have this packaging where I think the minimum order is even like something like 100 capsules or something like that. So they have kind of crazy system, and at the same time like they are telling that they are environment friendly and so on, but at the same time I see only waste with the packages. I can tell you a story. Like once I received an order, like there was a double order once, and I decided, okay, I will return it personally, because I wanted to have the item that I already received, and I wanted to return back the other one. And when I came back to the boutique, it was before all the pandemic happened and so on. I came back to the boutique and I handed over the package, and the lady tells me, like we have to throw this thing away. Like, why? It's unopened package of capsules. Like it's all vacuum sealed inside, and so because it's a food item, we cannot just resell it later on. Like, so we have to actually put it directly to the recycler. And like for me, like, why don't you then allow people to cancel an order if there is a double order or something like that? Like, because this is completely ridiculous. I understand that Nestle is a huge corporation, and they probably don't care much about the customer experience of online order.
In the financials, it's insignificant. yeah, just cost benefit analysis. This is going to cost us more to fix this than we benefit from it? Yeah. Okay. Don't fix it. It's probably that simple.
And now I'm thinking like maybe I should just grind my coffee myself, like and then don't buy espresso anymore, because this has becomes a problem for me. Like it's already happening for me so often that I think I'm just unlucky random person, but I see like a lot of people have an issue with buying online for an espresso store because
I'm fortunate. When I was drinking coffee right up the street, there's this old roaster man. He's been roasting beans since the early 70s and he's continued to do it. So I could just get fresh roasted beans up there from him. And then I just grind them and French press them.
The only thing that I like about an espresso is that it's very convenient and it's very clean when you drink it at home, because like you just put a capsule, you press a button, and you have a cup of coffee, and you go and continue working. Like you don't have to clean stuff up.
You could still get the reusable ones, right? Even when I had a Keurig, I had a reusable K-cup, and I would just put my own coffee in it, and so you could still use the machine.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy. But yeah, in general, like I think they just didn't test the mobile version, because most of the issues I had was when I was doing my order on mobile or mobile. I don't know how you pronounce it in the United States. Mobile, right?
Mobile, yeah.
So I was doing my order on mobile, and because on my phone, like I have a banking app, and when I pay online, if it recognizes, hey, this is an ideal payment, so you can do it directly in app on the phone, it switches from the browser to my application, and then when I click confirm, it opens another URL, but already in another browser.
Yeah, I think these checkout companies, that's one of the things they might be solving is they're really focused on payments and making it smooth, so like you don't have to re-enter your stuff. So you can reuse payments across, I don't know, if you're Google Pay or Apple Pay and you have your payment saved, and Amazon Pay, like.
Yeah, this is all, like you can install as an extension. But in general, like the biggest problem is actually the Nespresso store was done in such a way that as soon as I came back to an Nespresso store, it tells me that, yeah, seems like you need to log in order to continue your order, and you log in and everything in your shopping cart and there is no order. So you as a customer confused, and the things that payment didn't went through, so you pay again, and then you realize, hey, you have now 2 charges on your bank account. You have now 2 basically orders, and one of them is actually invisible because they don't know about it yet, like the transaction went through, but because you got switched to another browser, you have to log in again, because on Android, you can have multiple browsers. You can have, for instance, Chrome, and you can have the standard Samsung browser. I use, for instance, Chrome, but the application's using the system default Samsung browser.
Oh, so it switched, yeah.
and it's easy to catch if you just, like test it on a real device. Like if you don't just do it, like it through the browser or something like that, like it's very easy problem to solve. You just don't need to ask your customer to log in after customer paid for something, like it doesn't make sense. Yeah. Like if you already receive a notification from a payment provider, hey, this is a transaction ID, here is a token, just show the confirmation page of the order, process an order. Don't request customer to log in, because you will lose all those parameters that was sent from PSP. And this is the biggest problem. Like you cannot order without an account. It's one thing. So you have to have an Espresso account. And this is just, I don't like to be a free tester, for big corporations.
But you keep drinking it and you're going to keep buying it.
Yeah, but now I'm thinking like I have this kind of ambassador status or whatever it is, kind of weird labels that they have. Like because I buy a lot of capsules and I drink a lot of coffee, so I have this top tier status, but it doesn't give me anything. It just tells me I spent too much money on my coffee, And in the end, I think like, yeah, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense just to waste my time on this
These little things are frustrating. All right. Well, anything else before we wrap it up?
Oh yeah, everything is great and cool, and everyone stay safe home, and yeah, we all get through this, and bye everyone. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and hit the like button.
Blackfire. Thank you to Blackfire. Make sure to like, subscribe, and we'll link up all the things we mentioned in the show notes. So thanks everyone.